Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line, though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and people of all ages. It's time once again for round 11 of the VWSC historic. This time we're at Fuji. I'm James Parfitt, going to be joined in the booth by Mr. Paul Glover here this evening as well, as Time Zones has thrown us all out and Tom Cairns is missing and we don't know where he is. So hashtag find Tom Cairns in YouTube chat. That'd be great. And hopefully he might join us a little bit later on. We'll see how it goes. Let's have a look at the schedule. You can see we're on round 11. We've only got one more round to go on the 2nd of December, and that is at Sandown. It's 250 kilometers here today as well. So we're going to find out how this is going to go. Laps probably around about 57. That's the rough estimate of laps that it's going to be here this evening. So let's see how that one turns out. Keys to the race. Should we say? I'll tell you what, we'll have a look at the track back first. As you can see, it's completely different from the modern one. The start-finish straight is shorter. The corner is a double right-hander, not a hairpin. And, of course, the Suntree corner, which is the modern-day 200R, I believe it is, on the modern-day layout, or one as well. And there's a couple of infield changes a little bit later on. Yeah, it's 100R at the same time. So the hairpin is still there. 300R is still there. We've still got a Yankee chicane, but it's at turns 7 and 8. And then that wrong run round 9 to 10 replaces, obviously, 13, 14, 15, and 16 from the modern day circuit. So you can see it is slightly different, but it isn't too bad for these drivers. Keys to the race: high downforce setup needed, stay on top of the braking points, keep rain tyres ready. 1X, no refueling. Tyres they get will be a qualifying tyre, then race will be a soft, I'm going to presume that is, and then a wet tyre. Target lap time 2 minutes 18. And 121 over 2.8 litres per lap, 121 over 57 laps. So they're going to have to do some wiggly jigglies and hopefully try and get some fuel saving in to make sure they can get to the end. Kim D's in YouTube chat already. Hashtag find Tom Cairns. I agree on that one. Let's have a look what's going on in the championship. Smile Power Racing have already taken the team's championship, but Dan Herlock and Eduardo Bonica, they're the top of the standings. They're the two we've got to keep an eye on in that one. If Dan Herlock takes the win, he's going to wrap it up before we even get to Sandown. Lots more to play for in there. You can see JT Tammy, Becky Ely Clark. Becky's not here, so third place should go to JT Tammy once again as well. So great job from all of them drivers in the Scene 1 Pros. But it's Herlock, Bonica, JT Tammy will be your top three. JT will be in third, but it'll be between Bonica and Herlock for the win. Moving on. And then we've still got P2, Rookie Lobster March and Drongo Thrashers still up for the team championships in second and third. And Retro Monsters Porsche could have a good one at the same time, but we'll try and keep that on the run through as the race goes on. C1 Pro-Ams, as we know, Ross Smith's wrapped it up. Cookie Monsters have wrapped it up already. It's between Tony McCoffin and John Uyan for that second and third place at this current moment in time. As I hunt out the standings, John Uyan is here. So we'll see if... I can't see. Yes, so... Yeah, McCoffin's here as well. So both of them are still here. So it's going to be a straight fight to the end in the Pro-Ams. Let's see how that one goes. Very, very interesting indeed. Moving on from that one, it's the C1 AMs. Jerry Chen, George Angelidis. That battle at the top with Peter Meyer. All three of them. It's got to be on Peter Meyer to have a great race. But it will be on George Angelidis and Jerry Chen to stop them. George is here, Jerry's here, Gilles Lalonde, Matt Tremillo, Pavchovsky, Carl Struhl, Dan Kruger, Vinicius Concalves in the C1 AMs. No Peter Meyer currently. That could leave George and Jerry to fight it out. Can Maximilian overtake Peter Meyer? Well, it depends on where he finishes. Breaking Bad Racing still in front, 151, with Martini Racing 144. That's going to be the battle in the team standings as well currently. So that's the championship standings ready to go. Let's bring in Mr. Glover, who you're going to hear for the first time this evening. Pretty much, if you haven't heard him before, well, you're in for a treat. Paul, welcome in, bud. How are you?
Evening. Hello, everybody. I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you, James?
I'm very well. Looking forward to this one, mate. About you?
Yeah. Fuji is a track that I've only really started to appreciate in LMU. It's not a track I've done many laps around, as you pointed correctly at the start. There's some changes to the track, so Sector 1 looks completely different to how I understand it. But yeah, I'm sure we're going to see these cars flying around. I've seen a few offs, especially into turn 1, some cars struggling to brake during practice and qualifying, and just like that, the hero has returned.
Yes. Kim, you're proud to know we have found Tom Cairns. He has joined us in the booth here as well. Time zone's a killer, I told you. Tom is an absolute nightmare. Welcome in. How are you?
Thanks for that. I'm all right, thank you. It's been a rather relaxing week, actually, considering there's not been a lot on. But yeah, I'm ready to go for this historics event here in Fuji.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, time zones are a bit of a killer. Thrown us all out today. I didn't get a message from Paul until about, half an hour, 45 minutes ago, was it? I think maybe a little bit earlier. Saying, James, don't forget, we go an hour earlier. 2 hours ago, apparently, he told me. Well, I only got the message not far after that. But there we go. Now, is that the end of Paul? Paul, have you gone? All right, Paul has gone. No longer hear the sultry tones of Paul at all. Tom, 57 laps of Fuji. Penalties outstanding at the moment. Maximilian Petrovsky stopping hold for 10 seconds. Daniel Kruger stopping hold for 15. Carrying over from previous races. Philippe Decay stopping hold plus 15. Nicholas Kirsten stopping hold plus 75. And Adrian Rice no qualifying for failing to serve after starting the race. Plus the stop and hold 100 for the original penalty. Poor old poor old Adrian Rice is going to be in there a while on that one, but I don't actually see him here. Oh yeah, I do see him here as well. So be aware, Adrian Rice is going to be in the box. What do we know about Fuji, Tom? What do we think this is going to happen? We're on the 85 layout as well. There's, we've lost a lot of the infield section. We've lost a lot of the normal racing infield that we get from this layout. What do we think is going to happen?
I mean, it's going to come down to horsepower, I think, with that long straight all the way down. But of course, this configuration is different to the modern day one, as we see Dan Herlock in his Lancia coming through on a time. Now, we're actually completing the end of qualifying, actually. I mean, they set the fastest time with a 1:14 dead. But I'm really looking forward to see how they power their way through this racetrack. It's a gorgeous configuration, it has to be said. And Dan Herlock, well, he'll be hoping to build on what's been an interesting season, I think, although Dan Kirby may have something to say on that.
Well, it's going to be interesting to find out how these guys get on as well in the championship standings with Dan Herlock. He's out in front. It's really Eduardo Benica who's going to give him a go as well. Kirby is here. He's just gone into P2. So we're going to find out how Dan Kirby is going to get on at the same time. He's in the Porsche 956, of course. Smeraldi, I don't believe that's how you take that corner, dear sir. I believe you pretty should use the green stuff on that. A couple of championships still just about up for grabs. Ross taking the win in the Pro-Ams, of course. That's all done and dusted. Jerry Chen, George Angelidis. They've been stuck together pretty much like Velcro all season. They're going to be stuck together again here. And at the moment, Angelidis is on that pole position lineup. They don't seem to want to leave each other alone, Tom, but is this the time where they're kind of, whoever gets in front of these two is going to be kind of the one dominating where they go and how they pit? Well, they can't pit. Obviously, there's no refueling unless they have some drama. But this fuel saving thing is really going to work, is really going to play games with them too. And I'm wondering how Angelidis and Jerry Chen are going to handle that.
Well, it's going to come down to how much they save at the beginning, because you'd rather start badly and end well rather than the other way round. So, you could have the outright pace all the way through, but it can all come to nothing if you don't have the fuel to get through to the end. But it also depends on how far the leaders in the higher class, how far they go. Because if they get lapped, that means you've got less laps to do. So there's that to factor in. So that'll be for the likes of Angelidis and Chen and all that to really consider over the course of the 57 laps.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting one and see what goes on here. I think if you're not sitting and grabbing your popcorn and chilling out and getting ready, I think you need to, because this run down into that double right-hander of turn one now, no longer the hairpin, which is what we used to have, obviously we're used to from the modern day circuit. So they have got a bit more flow, but, Paul mentioned at the top of the show, we've seen a lot of people go off there in practice. It's mainly going to be about hitting that breaking point, isn't it? And then, seeing if the move's on.
I would think so as well. I've just updated myself with the standings, James, because I know you went through them at the beginning of the broadcast. Herlock has still got the Pro Championship still to wrap up, I believe, considering we've got another round to go after this one at Sandown on the 6th of December, which should be a fun one. So it's not done and dusted by any means by Herlock, as he hopes to pick up another win here. And looking at the other ones really of the AMs, because Jerry Chen and George Angelidis, as you've rightly emphasised, are in a ding-dong battle for the honours there. So I'm looking forward to see how they fight amongst themselves with the strategy side of things. And providing they actually get to the end, if they don't get to the end, that could be championship done and dusted for either of them.
Yeah, I think for me, for Eduardo Benique, he has to take the win away from Dan Herlock. It's 20 points, I believe, for the win for this one as well. So that effectively will put Herlock on 148. If Benique gets second, which is 15, he'll be on 122. I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. If Herlock takes the win, I think this championship is done. I think the C1 Pros is finished. It's already finished in the team standards. Pro-Ams is wrapped up. We don't have to worry about that at all. That's merely driving around. But it is the C1 AMS that's going to be the interesting one. Jerry Chen taking second place from Maximilian Petravsky last time out of Brands. Angelidis finishing in third. Again, if Jerry takes the 20... and also with Angelidis in the mix, he's going to throw this out. But we have brought our normal resident voice of the modern and the NAS series, Mr. Ross Smith, into the booth. Ross, how are you?
Good, James. How are you guys doing?
Well, apart from the fact that, time zone killed us all and we all just about made it in time. And if it wasn't for Paul, we might have been late altogether, to be honest, Ross. So Paul is our saviour on that one. Let's just put it in that terms. What do we think of Fuji, Ross? How's it going to work out for you all?
Well, it's kind of in the air. I mean, it's a very fast and flowing track, as you guys pointed out, and it's great fun to drive on right now. Because of the way that qualifying is here and the way that the cars are kind of set up, you're seeing a lot of the Lancias getting up there. I mean, even the 956s are getting up there. So it's tricky, especially with the March being updated the way it has. We can't get up ahead of all that traffic. So we're kind of down in the mix, Wouter and me. So we're going to be fighting against that. We've got my good rival Tony here today, so it'll be fun mixing with him. I mean, we just have to stay out of trouble in the early phases, so that way we can hold on to tires. Watch the fuel number, as you said. It's pretty tricky. We can probably go like maybe 2.2 or something. I imagine we're going to get lapped because of how fast those Lancias are up at the top. So we're just staying focused, trying to stay clean in the beginning. We'll see if that happens or not. Tony and I were talking. We're like, hey, maybe we'll finally have that race we always wanted, where we're door to door throughout the whole thing without disaster happening to either or. But we're kind of right there around Jerry and George, and I know that they're going to be going back and forth the whole time too. So
well, they need to for the championship for them to. Where are you going to? Okay, so I'm going to ask this question: if you're coming into the final third of the race, you're finding yourself ahead of George. Jerry's in front of you on track. You need to let George through to take it away from Jerry. Are you going to let him through, Ross?
I'm probably going to err on the side of not getting in the way of their battle. It depends on what's going on and if they've caused me strife throughout the race. We'll have to see. But, that's just the fun of the racing. But generally, I'm going to try and let them have their own fight. I'm not going to try and get there and mix it up and cause them strife because they're doing their own thing. But again, it's all part of the racing. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'll probably just stay to the side, maybe not let them through per se, like just pull over and park it. But, if maybe facilitate the pass, I guess you could say, if it looks like they're definitely going to be out in front of me because, I might be racing my own thing, we have the ELO to worry about too. So, I mean, that's another consideration amongst all of this. It's not just what you can do with within your race for your series. You got to be looking to next year too. And we're all kind of in this weird precarious spot where we're kind of like right near the edge of a ranking. So anything that happens in these next two races could push us up or down on that bubble and potentially affect where we're positioned for the rankings next year.
Okay, so you've mentioned it, so I am going to dive on it. Tell us, because there's people at home that might be sitting here going, what is he talking about? What is ELO? What is this? What do you mean we're doing this already? Next season done by this and that? What does ELO mean for everybody in CMS? And let everybody know at home, what is ELO and how does it work and what does it stand for in regards to next season?
So it actually, the original meaning of it was based on a guy named Elo. And it came from the world of chess. And effectively, it's a stratification system used for ranking players based on who they've beaten and, basically allotted points within that table. So if you beat somebody, they lose points and you gain points, and so your ranking moves around that way. So it's a fairly dead simple way of moving people around, and so where you end up in your points, that positions you with a particular driver ranking in terms of like platinum, gold, silver, like the type that you're used to seeing in typical FIA type racing and all that. So we do something similar to that to just be able to come up with a way of stratification to see where drivers rank in terms of finishing position, which should relate to their overall performance. There may be some leeway within the administrator's purview in case they want to adjust that, but generally they're going to snap the chalk line on a particular driver ranking and say, boom, you're in this class. Anyone below that, you're in the next one. Below that, you're in this one, or however, the next season works out in terms of car categories.
So what are you hoping for?
In terms of my class?
Yeah, where do you want to be?
I mean, I don't mind staying in gold. I feel like that's probably where I should be, but it remains to be seen. I mean, if I end up as silver, I'm not heartbroken. I would be a little distraught if I see George jumping out in front of me. Not to say that he's not better than I am or anything. It's just it just means that my own position has kind of suffered quite a bit, which that's just more on me than anything else.
So are you aiming to beat George? Is it? I don't even know why. You're not even in the same class in this one. Was it? You know what I mean? I don't get it. So why is it? Why George? Well, I know he's your friend, and I know you run CMS and SGS and all this other stuff. But why George? Why not Jerry Chen or Schultz or Petrafsky or JT Sammy?
He's just a good benchmark, I guess, in the case of getting a position in there and understanding where I am relative to different fields. And I know that he tends to position himself in a particular way when it comes to particularly these historic seasons and everything. So just knowing that, it kind of is my own baseline just to understand where I'm likely to be for the preceding seasons.
Okay, cool. Next season, I know that people in this booth will go, I know what it is. I know what it is.
Well,
when are we
what it is.
I don't really care. You never tell me, so I don't even know why I pushed a blinking no, to be honest. When are we going to find out about next season? Anyway, are we going to get a normal intro announcement video at Sandown?
That's the goal. We're going to try and do that exactly. So that way we can showcase what's coming. A lot of it comes down to the development process because there's still a lot to be done, but we'd love to be able to showcase that here in December.
Right, okay, that's no worries. Don't worry, guys, I'm not going to ask because he never bloody tells me. So I don't even bother. You know what I mean? So I find out on the intro video on that one as well. So what are we in generally then expecting from this race? How hard is the fuel saving going to be with that? The infield is kind of got the same techniques as today's Fuji circuit. The back side of the circuit hasn't. We've lost a lot of the infield section as of that Yankee chicane that you guys insist on running. We haven't got 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. We've got the looping right-hander. How's that going to affect your fuel saving in general? Because you obviously have got less corners to lift off and roll into.
It's not too bad. I mean, once you've figured out where you do need to be doing your lift and coast, it's not awful. Some cars, I know the 956, it does not have to save near as much, but it also doesn't have the top line. So there's going to be some interesting interplay with that. The Lancia, I want to say, is kind of in a similar spot where it has to fuel save a bit more, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So we'll have to kind of see how they're geared and all of that to be able to take this. But I know they're fast. So yeah, in the end, I think actually tires may end up being more of a focus by about maybe the 2/3 point to the end of the race, just being able to save there.
Do you think you're going to need to stop for tires? And I didn't want to interrupt you, but I'm just trying to find out. Do you think we're going to stop for tires?
I think some will, because I've seen some drivers pushing the absolute snot out of their cars, and that's not going to be sustainable on these high dead corners. But I know that I'm going to be trying to make them last to the end. And I think with the way that I have the car set up now, that's a possibility. So unless something happens, I cop a whack and have a bunch of damage I got to take care of, I should be able to run it out to the end and hopefully make up some positions from people diving in and getting all their stuff taken care of.
Right, okay. So basically no tyres unless you specifically have to, but you're going to try to make yours last to the end.
That's the idea, yeah. We'll see if it works out.
Okay, well, good luck on that one. Anything sort of technically we can find out? We're obviously one race from the end of this season. I presume all updates are done, all BAP's done. Is it released out for general release yet?
It will be after the last race, yeah. So I do have to do some graphical updates on the MCA. There are a couple tweaks, very minor, that are going on some of the cars. I don't have the exact list, but they really won't affect performance very much. Just very small things, maybe like 1 or 2 clicks of gearing and a couple other things going on there. But yeah, it should be just about ready. Once Sandown's over, then we can just go ahead and hit publish. And we're going to have a few other special little treats too that we're going to be going out at the same time. So look for those. It'll be fun.
Okay, well, Ross, it's been a pleasure as it always is, buddy. Thank you so much for coming in and have a chat with me and filling me in on the wonderful world of what's going on within CMS and your own race. I look forward to seeing how you get on and seeing whether or not you can get that car to the end on one set of tyres. Oh, Ross, before you go, rain. Are we going to get it or not?
Well, it was looking like we were before, but I mean, it's pretty sunny right now. I mean, Fuji's always kind of a mystery mountain. You never know when she's going to swing some clouds one way or the other. But at the moment, we're looking dry.
Yeah, it does look dry all the way through, to be honest with you, mate, and the precipitation on the weather. Okay, bud. Right, I'm going to let you go. Have a good one.
Thanks. Yeah, you guys too. Best to you, Paul and Tom. Thank you.
Bye-bye. There you go. That's the end of the conversation that we have every single time with Mr. Ross Smith. Tom, interesting. Tyres could be a problem. Ross is going to be the Mr. Tyre Whisperer.
He probably knows more about tyres than most of the other drivers do. And he certainly knows a way around this course, in my point of view. But let's see how they get on. I mean, there's only 10 corners around this circuit, so it's not like it's going to be a major issue with the tyres, in my point of view. But there's going to be some that are going to gamble on one stops, I think, because I don't expect to see a lot of pit stops here.
I don't think, as I say, we don't know that we know they don't need any for fuel. We have just lost Vinicius Concalves. His internet went off. He's already rebooted the modem and nothing. So unfortunately, Concalves does look like he is done and dusted out of this race, which is a bit of a shame because that was going to be an interesting one. The fear for me on the tyre situation is the sudden stops. We've got turn one, we've got the hairpin, going into Dunlop as well. I'll be interested to see how that one goes. We'll pick up more on that one in a minute. Let's have a look at the grid for this race. The car's just about to get onto the grid, ready to go. Dan Herlock out in front. Dan Kirby, in that Rothmans livery machine. Look at that, it looks beautiful. We're in front of Eduardo Bonica and Ollie Day. That's your top 4. Moving on, Magnus Dahlgren and Timon Suvic there in 5th and 6th. George Angelidis at the dizzy heights of 7th, leading the C1 Pro-Ams ahead of Wouter de Bruin. And more importantly, this man, Brian Hall, ain't Brian Hall, I want Jerry Chen, that's who I want, and he's in 10th. Alexander Schultz in 11th. Ross Smith there in 12th for that Cookie Monsters machine. Maximilian Petravsky sitting there in 13th. JT Tammy all the way down in 14th place. Gilles Lalonde 15th. Robert Molin in 16th. John Uyan in 17th. Then you've got Scar Pope, Carl Struhorn and Alexandro Smeraldi. Moving on from that one. Then we've got Dan Kruger. We know we've lost Vinicius Concalves. And then we've got Adrian Rice, of course. That's going to be an interesting situation in that C1 Pro Championship and the Pro-Ams, of course, as well. So, especially with Peter Meyer, Maximilian Petravsky still fighting out. There's no Peter Meyer here, so Petravsky can wrap up 3rd place in that one. Let's see how that one pans out. Lots of things still up for grabs. Team Championship still up for grabs in the C1 AMs as well as the Championship in general. Obviously, the Championship is C1 Pros. C1 Pro AMs is all done apart from that 2nd and 3rd that John Uyan and Tony McCoffin are going to be fighting out for here, Tom. So still quite a few more things still up for grabs, even though obviously we're so late on in the season.
Yeah, but of course the major talking point at the moment is both in the Pros and in the AMs. I mean, if you look at the gap between the top 2 in the Pros, you are looking at, if I could just get my screen to hover across because I've got so many screens open. Dan Herlock, 21 points clear. So if he could just outscore Beninka, then that's the championship wrapped up for him. So that's effectively the target. But we're about to get underway with the green flag.
Yeah, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages. It's going to be green, green, green very, very shortly. Over the line they go in a few seconds. Past the pit lane entry on the right-hand side. Now we don't start until we cross the line. Lap 1 of 57. Herlock's picking up the pace a little bit. It does look like he's going a little bit quicker. Dan Kirby on the inside, not in the Rothmans livery. He's on my screen, he's in some high-coloured machine. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now officially green. They are racing. Herlock on the right, Kirby on the left. In behind that is Eduardo Beninka. He's trying to go around the outside. Lock on the brakes for Beninka. That's going to give the inside line to Ollie Day. Day's going to try and have a go on that inside. He has got the run, but Dan Herlock at this moment in time leading the field in front of Dan Kirby. Beninka, you have survived there. I do not know how Ollie Day did not make that move there. Timon Suvik in behind Magnus Dahlgren. Tony McCoffman leading the C1 Pro AMS, and Ross Smith further back on that one. George Angelidis leading the C1 AMS. Maximilian Petrovsky, Jerry Chen. Chen didn't go anywhere. Petrovsky has gained one place already. Good start here for Dan Herlock, but he has got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dan Kirby tucked in behind him.
It's going to be a mighty duel between the pair of them. It looks like Beninka's brakes were still cold by the time he got to turn 1. And there was a little bit of jostling going on. That's almost contact. There was a little switch from the race leader, Dan Herlock, on the approach to the chicane. He was lucky to survive that one, but that tells you about how nimble these machines are when it comes to applying the brakes. It's so easy to lock the rear tyres and go for a spin.
Yeah, long looping run round the last corner now. It's going to be one more on to the start-finish straight already. Lap 1 done and dusted. There's Magnus Dahlgren. He is sitting in 5th place at the moment. Ollie Day in 4th, Beninka 3rd, Kirby 2nd, Herlock 1st. Angelidis leading the C1 AMS. He's ahead of Petrovsky, ahead of Jerry Chen. And in the Pro-Ams, it's Tony McCoffin. He's leading that one 6 seconds ahead of Ross Smith, already over the first couple of laps here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in for a little bit of a ding-dong, and the only way I can see that coming is from further back on the grid. Let's have a look at the replay of Scar Pope. Unfortunately, he had a DNF on that run round. He's going to get a little bit of a knock. There he is, into the wall, upside down, coming across the track. No control for Scar in that 21 machine, and unfortunately that MKC 84 is off and gone. Scar Pope DNF'd out of the race already. Tom, that was a big one.
Yeah, we've got a car in the pits as well, Derek Kruger. I don't know whether he was involved in that, but he's had to come in for, well, presumably with some form of issue. Yeah, it's a drive-through, in fact, for Daryl Kruger, so that will be his penalty. You can see Magnus Dahlgren on the brakes. We're going to see quite a lot of that because it's a long way before the chicane from the corner before they start applying the brakes. And you could apply the same analogy with turn 1 with it being such a long straight. When they apply the brakes, they have it to apply so much pressure, so much, that you can just see the rear stepping out. As Magnus Dahlgren makes his way through that last corner, we're going to see a replay. This is Koffinen applying the brakes at turn 1. Does he get the car slowed down? It doesn't look like he was able to.
Not in a great position there, Tom. He got it stopped, but it wasn't really under control for Tony McCoffin, and that was Wouter de Bruin, who has just gone past him. McCoffin now slips down to 8th overall. Herlock, Kirby fight out. McCoffin and Smith still there as well. Maximilian Petrovsky's got a penalty. He's got a stop and hold plus 4 seconds already from an outstanding penalty. So is Daryl Kruger's at a stop and hold for 15. Adrian Rice is going to be the one we've got to keep an eye on. He's had no qualifying to serve, of course. That's why he's started towards the back. Plus, he's still got a stop and hold plus 100 on the original penalty. Poor old Petrovsky's got to go in pit lane. Poor old Rice has got to go in pit lane. They might as well sit in there and have a cup of tea. They're going to be in it that long on the run here as well. Take another look at a replay here of Mr. Gilles Lalonde going into turn number 1. Runs it wide on the grass into the kitty litter. Does he get it round back onto the track cleanly? Well, cleaner than some. So fair play for Gilles Lalonde on that one. Big penalties for some of these right at the beginning. Tom, you know, poor old Adrian Rice, he's going to be in there for a while.
Yeah, it must feel like an eternity, especially on a course like this. It's pretty much a 75-second lap. It's this Fuji circuit. When you're in the pit lane for that long, you're so far out of sync with the others. It's a long race from that. Meanwhile, we're looking at the front and Herlock and Kirby, and we can just see on the onboard on the bottom of the screen, just see the way the car is switching from Herlock as he's like, that's Kirby getting on the curb out of turn 2.
Yeah, Kirby getting the slide on gap, opens up to 8 tenths, nearly more. But the other, McCoffin ahead of Smith by 5.5 seconds. Angelidis ahead of Chen by 2.8. Chen moving his way up. There's some shuffling around as well. Looks like Angelidis with John Uyan, Robert Molin all situated on track together. They're all having their own little bit of a ding-dong a little bit further back. But on board Kirby, bottom right-hand corner. Main pictures, top left-hand corner. Kirby and Herlock on the run here. Lap times 1:21. They knew that was the target lap time. 1:20 for Eduardo Benico. He's going a little bit quicker than the target lap time for saving fuel here for Eduardo. He's in that Lancia LC2, but he is pulling in Dan Kirby and Dan Herlock together though, Tom.
He's keeping up with them. It's going to come down to fuel saving at this point. I mean, I would imagine a lot of these will be fuel saving somewhat, maybe a touch each lap, which is the right thing to do, because you can't just go flat out all the way through and just be the quickest guy out there all the time. You've got to manage your fuel if the refueling rule is to be believed. Magnus Dahlgren is in 5th place behind Ollie Day. He thought about a move there. Had he applied the brakes a little bit later, I think the car would have been stepping out and he'd been going for a spin in a similar way to how someone else did earlier on in this one.
Yeah, Tony McCoffin had an issue, didn't he, on that one there, but he's still leading the Pro-Ams. Angelidis still leading the AMs, and then Dan Herlock just about fighting it out with Kirby. On track, this is George Angelidis, and in behind that is John Uyan. In front of George is Robert Molin. Kirby got closer here over this period of time through the long looping right-hander we go. Through 300R, there's going to be a Yankee chicane at the end of this. There it is, right there. I do not like that chicane. I find it completely destructive of the race circuit. You can see in the right-hand corner, and then we've got Ollie Day and Magnus Dahlgren having a nice little bit of a ding-dong as well. Few battles taking shape on this racetrack here, Tom, as well. Something to look forward to as the race goes on.
Yeah, well, Dahlgren looks like he was right on the tail there, but his poor line compared to Ollie Day at that last corner has set him back a little bit, so I don't expect him to be within range to attack heading into turn 1. He may surprise Ollie Day a little bit there, but he has to play the long game. There goes Dahlgren on Ollie Day, and I think that was probably the easiest overtake that Dahlgren's going to get all race, because Ollie Day clearly lifted off and he didn't want to fight with him.
Well, yeah, to be fair, the problem isn't that. It's obviously with the no refueling and saving fuel and everything else, it's going to cause a problem for some of these drivers. Not everybody can do it, and some people can't do it at all, and that's the thing. And I think that we're going to have to just keep an eye out, see how the fuel saving gets on, and see whether or not some of these drivers are going to be able to do this in the first time. I think it's going to be interesting. Herlock, Kirby fighting out there as well. Kirby settles back in again. Didn't really run the inside line all the way through on the run down into the chicane once more. Laps coming off thick and fast here, Tom. They're not taking long at all. This 57 lap race could be very, very quick indeed.
It will be. Yeah, it's going back to saying these are like 75-second laps that they are doing, if not a little bit more than that, considering the amount of fuel that they are on. This is Schultz and Tammy at turn 1. And that's Tammy running into Schultz, at turn 1. And imagine that Tammy will pick up some form of penalty for that unless he gives the place back to Schultz.
Yeah, there's a bit of a naughty boy, JT Tammy there. That was a hard knock for him. He did wait and allow him to go back through. So JT Tammy all the way down in 17th, Schultz in 16th. So there we go. Lead battle on our screen at this moment here. Every other champion, every other class, Angelidis is behind Chen, Struel in there as well, so that's obviously the C1 Pro-Am situation developing, because as we know, Chen is ahead of Angelidis by 7 points. Angelidis' gain over Chen for this one would be 5 points. That leaves that championship open going into the last race of the season by 2. Of course, we then got the team championships. Chen and Struel on for scoring the most amount of points over Angelidis, who's doing a single battle at the moment because Concalves is lost, so that could be a double jeopardy for Martini. Racing. Angelidis being second in the championship going into the final race by 2 points if he wins today. And Martini Racing are going to be a bit further back because they've lost Vinicius Goncalves due to internet issues.
We're riding ball with Kirby, who nailed through that final corner. Sweet and sound. He's quite a distance away from Herlock to consider making an attempt to pass. And further behind, we've got a battle between Dahlgren and Day again. So it's not like Dahlgren's pulled away from Day since he got by him. And in the easiest of circumstances, there they are, Dahlgren and Day, heading through turns 1 and 2. I think they're all just playing the long game as they should. Benenko is also behind Kirby. He's around about 1.5 seconds adrift of the second place man. So Benenko is without he's for sure still in the fight for a race win here today. And so he needs to keep his hopes in the championship alive. But so far it seems to be like everyone is settling down, and we'll just see how the rest of the race pans out from here. But further behind that is Shulalon in third place in the AM class. He's just got by Stroll for fourth place, and that's not a bad overtake there from Lilland on this occasion.
Yeah, that's not the team championship for Chen and Stroll. They're still leading the way. Eduardo Benica has got Magnus Dahlgren coming up behind him at the same time. Herlock and Kirby were only 3 tenths apart at the moment, but for some reason Kirby is losing a lot of time on that straightaway. But then again, we do know how quick the Lazias are here. Eduardo Benica, a little bit of a defense. Kirby there as well. I wonder if Kirby messed up that final corner, Tom, because they've come very, very close all of a sudden here, and Benica was a 2.1 back. He is now literally only 1.3 back. Dahlgren 2.1, 3.6 back for Day as well. You know, we could be in for a front 6 fight because Suvic ain't too far off here for this lead in the C1 Pros.
Kirby got held up by a back marker, James, the last turn. That's why he lost time on the last lap. Now it's given Herlock a little bit of breathing space. Having said that, Kirby is on the tail of Herlock now, so it's not like Herlock is shooting off into the distance. Having said that, I think because of the gap that Herlock had as a result of Kirby being held up behind one of the lapped cars, has given Herlock more of an opportunity to save a little bit of fuel.
I think that's the thing. I think fuel saving is going to be the key, and we're going to have to keep an eye on it here. Who's going to be close to it? Who's going to hit the mark? Who's not going to hit it? 1:19 for Dan Herlock. That's a little bit quicker than the target time of 1:21. That doesn't come into force, to be honest, until they get to Timon Suvic down in 6th place in the C1 Pros and C1 in the overalls as well. Because obviously on the left it's class split, it's not the overall split. It's a nice little battle for Smoreldi, and Angelidis are also having a mix at the same time with John Huyan in the fight. Kirby's also there as well. Herlock does go on the defense. He gets that planted on the apex, gets the run out there. There's a big old snap there in the background. I wonder if that was, looks like Magnus Dahlgren had a big old snap in the opposite direction. But we've got Dan Kirby still holding on from Eduardo Benica. Ollie Day has made that move past Magnus Dahlgren, and boy, oh boy, did he get a snap on that car.
He did. I wonder if he caught the curb on the outside, James, on the exit turn 1, that saw Dahlgren get a kick of oversteer as he applied the throttle. Meanwhile, Kirby gets another twitch of oversteer on the exit of, I think that's the 300R corner or the hairpin, whichever of those two. They're coming towards Dunlop now, the corner that you despise so much, as Herlock, Kirby and Beninka circulate their way through. Don't think we're going to see an awful lot of overtaking between these top 3 because they know what the long game is. And there's also tyre strategy to come into the fray. I wonder if there's going to be some drivers gambling a little bit, because it wouldn't surprise me actually to see some go to the end without making a tyre change at all.
There we go, replay on the screen. At this moment in time, there is Eduardo Benica, there is Magnus Dahlgren. Is Dahlgren going down into turn 1? Just carrying far too much speed under braking. Started hitting the brake a little bit hard, and unfortunately for Magnus Dahlgren, that 956 turned around and was like, no, not happening. And then he nearly hit Day, but the both of them managed to get through without any problems. So that's something to keep an eye on. Kirby still in second, Benica in third, Herlock there as well. I don't think what we're looking at the moment here, Tom, with Dahlgren 4 tenths back at the moment away from Ollie Day, the other battles are not really class battles on track. C1 Pro-Am, C1 Hams, look at George Angelidis in behind JT Tammy. They're literally less than 3 tenths back away from each other. John Uyan in behind Smeraldi, again, Pro and Pro-Ams, as we've got another replay on the screen here of Jerry Chen having a moment into turn number 1. Over the curb he goes. That was a bad entry, and that was the final result. Tokyo Drift Style from Jerry Chen couldn't unfortunately hold it, and he's gone off there as well. I think a lot of these battles on the racetrack, Tom, at this moment in time are not class battles. As by the looks of it, we've just lost Brian Hall.
Yeah, well, there's some reliability factors to put in there. I mean, we saw it at Brands Hatch, didn't we? Because we saw someone had a blowout on the Brabham Straight. That saw them. Was it Angelidis that pulled off? As we see Kirby get a twitch of oversteer, but at least it's nothing in comparison to what happened to Jerry Chen, who had his brakes very, very hard. Did you see how much glow the brakes had when he was going round?
Yeah, I think he was trying to save it there for Jerry Chen, and unfortunately just basically was slamming it down, hopefully trying to get it done and stopped, and it was very, very testing on the brakes on that machine. Kirby still chasing down Herlock. I do wonder whether or not Kirby's even going to look at trying to make an overtake here, Tom, or he's just going to sit in and use Herlock as a bit of a fuel buffer and save as much fuel as he can on the run through 300R down into Dunlop now as well. And there are the lovely, wonderful barriers that are stopping them going straight on, which I wish they would take, but unfortunately not. As we go to another replay here as well of Maximilian Petravsky having his own little drama on the racetrack down in 19th, bang into the wall for Max and C1 Hams. I wouldn't be surprised if that liquid moly machine is damaged in some shape or form, but he's still going. Issues for some are managing to get around the racetrack, Tom. The battles are not class battles on the racetrack at the moment. This is probably the only class battle we've got of Herlock and Kirby.
Yeah, well, a slight look up from Kirby on the approach to turn 1, and Herlock doing very well. You can just see the slightly different lines that Kirby's doing just to put Herlock off. We're going further back. This is Day and Dahlgren. We had a little bit of a camera issue there, but that's just the thing with the course. But Day and Dahlgren, they are in their own fight, but it's not really a fight because they're having to just keep in mind about the fuel. I know we couldn't keep mentioning fuel all the way through, but that is going to be the factor in how this race is decided. And Beninka, well, he'll be happy actually to watch Herlock and Kirby fight with each other, because if they fight with each other, not only are they taking tyres or taking life out of the tyres that they are on, but they're also burning more fuel because they're having to go into a ding-dong battle. That's Herlock going a little too deep into Dunlop, and Kirby wasn't able to take advantage that time around.
Yeah, Dan Kirby in that 956. Watch the Lancia just take off when they get on the straight though. That Lancia has got some beast of a speed. You can see it even now. Goes out to 8 tenths. Kirby does manage to catch some of the draft, pulls it back, but it's going 5.5. Is it going to break 4 at the moment? It's not. It's now going back the other way. And now it's coming in again. It's going up and down like a yo-yo on that straight. But it isn't really proving that Kirby's got the draft or how close he needs to be for the draft to work, because he didn't really pull in and he didn't really extend anything.
Well, Herlock's doing all he can to keep Kirby back for the time being. Beninka's falling back into the clutches of Ollie Day now. We spoke about Beninka being in contention for the race lead, but now he's got Day and Dahlgren for company in the battle for the final podium spot in the Pro class. Give a shout out to Ross Smith in his performance so far, second in the Pro-Ams, 7 seconds behind McCofferton, and it feels to me like he's keeping his car under control throughout this one. But I think reliability is going to be another factor in how this race gets decided, because I wonder, with all the mistakes we have been seeing from drivers, with so much brake pressure being applied at the corners of Dunlop and at turn 1, and now if they keep fighting these lot, I think we could well see a few brake failures before the end.
Well, we're going to find out how this one goes. I just don't know if Herlock is actually fighting. He hasn't really shown that aggressive nature in the car. He hasn't really sort of produced aggressive body language. As I said, I think some of the battles that we might, See are not into class. Schultz is closing into the back of Angelidis as well. He's only 6 tenths back at the moment. So we'll see whether or not that's going to materialise. C1 Pro-Am, you see Rice is a lap down from the leader. That's a lap down from the leader, Tony McCaughlin. Smith in there, Uyan in there. At the same time, Kirby's going to try and run this around the outside. I think that Lancia's going to have speed for days. It does cut straight across the nose of the Porsche. If the Lancia's got more pace here, Tom, and it seems to be saving it quite a lot on the speed, what could Kirby do in a 956?
Well, I mean, this is a Lancia versus a Porsche. Now, historically, you'd think a Porsche would have better straight line speed, and I think Kirby has demonstrated the straight line speed, the fact that he hasn't exactly played his cards yet. He hasn't played put everything on the table of what that Porsche could do. That was a twitch of oversteer from Kirby on the exit of Dunlop, which won't help on the run through the last corner before the pit straight.
Okay. These are obviously cars from the 85 season. Traditionally, at the moment, you can see Lancia 3:17.18, Kirby's 6 steps behind at the moment as well, slower. Saw it just briefly there as well. Now Kirby pulls in faster, but that is literally under braking. Traditionally, even now in modern day Porsches, they don't seem to have the top speed to keep up with the guys in front.
So it must be cornering speed. And Beninka has been penalised, James, for whatever reason.
We're going to find out.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been involved in some form of incident. We'll find out on a replay what he's been up to. There might be a track limits violation of some sort, which is interesting because what really is out there?
Well, the problem is there's a lot of in-game penalties, isn't it, at the moment? It isn't designated from, obviously, CMS or SGS. It is literally in-game. So we'll have a look. There goes Beninka. He's over the track. He's carrying more speed.
You can't give a penalty for that. I know it's not the leads that's given out, it's the game itself, but that is extremely harsh on Beninka there.
Yeah, more traffic for these guys on the rundown. This is just about to give Dan Herlock even more speed. Pulls out already, made his move once again. You can see the gap there. And Herlock pulls straight in, leaves the door open for Kirby. Kirby can't get the speed. That back marker slots in behind it. Heat the breaking point makes you don't want to take any cars in front. Beninka is in pit lane at the moment, which I think is really, really tough for him. Let's really bring up, change of position from Magnus Dahlgren and Ollie Day. I've just swapped places. Dahlgren goes round and then Day unfortunately goes off the side of the circuit. And across the other side of the circuit, does manage to save it there, Tom. But, you know, not a great entry into turn 1.
No, and he got dirt on his rear tyres. You saw it step out through turn 2 there, so he'll just need a few corners to get all the kitty litter off the car itself for Ollie Day. And now Dan Kirby has got Dan Herlock in his sights, as he has been since the start of this one. The next back marker that they are about to come up to, I believe, is Carl Stroll, if I stand correct with that. And so it is Carl Stroll before they enter the last turn. We're on lap 18 out of 57. Herlock leads by half a second, but you don't need me to tell you the gap. You can just see where the leading 2 cars are in your picture. Now, is Herlock going to make the most out of the slipstream here? It may be at an inconvenient time. He gets held up behind Stroll, who's competing in the AM class. He's 4th in classes, Stroll, but I think he gets out of the way of the leaders before they even get on the brakes at turn 1.
Yeah, straight away, Carl Stroll moves it over down into turn 1. Great job from him. Releases Dan Herlock. There was the Jaguar XJR. Adrian Rice was off the side of the circuit there. At the same time, this is George Angelidis. Is he going to make the chicane? Oh, well, if they got to give a penalty for Beninka, they got to give a penalty for that, right?
If superstition was to be believed, then yes.
Consistency, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then again, speed difference may cause that one. Yeah, I think that's going to be the tail. I wonder if you can get the split screen onto Beninka. Beninka has got Day, Suvic and De Bruin, all less than basically about a second and a half between the 3 and 4 of them. on the right-hand side there. These guys are very, very close together. They're having a little bit of a four-way. I personally think on the left-hand side, Herlock is saving fuel. I don't believe Kirby's saving fuel. I don't believe that he's going to go and make that move. I think there might be some form of battle here, unless everybody all of a sudden, Tom, is saving fuel and nobody's going to make a move.
We'll see soon enough. We may not see anything now, but maybe in the last 15 laps we'll start to see some passing before the end of the race. But now this is the 20th lap with Herlock leading and Kirby second. Beninka has got Day, Suva and De Bruyne on his tail, but it feels to me, looking at Beninka as they come through, where are they on the circuit here? I think they're just coming out of turns 3 and 4 now, aren't they? But, you know, there'll be some changes further down the line, but I wouldn't expect anything drastic for now.
We've just lost Adrian Rice. I'm not really surprised about that one, I have to be honest. I thought Adrian Rice would have DNF'd a long time ago.
He was like 5 laps down as well, James.
Yeah, he's not had a good one. Unfortunately for him, he had DNF'd, and that is the end of that from Adrian Rice. But, you know, unfortunately for him, it is what it is, and you know, he'll come back, I'm sure, in Sandown and have a good old go once again on that one. Ross taking a little bit of a diver at this moment in time off the side of the circuit. Ooh, and hits the wall and goes past the chicane.
Just hope he slows down actually before he rejoins the circuit. This is Robin Rowland at turn 1. He's going to get on the brakes here and the rear's going to step out, I think. Yeah, just brake too late.
Yeah,
Totally braked too late into the first corner.
Yeah, couldn't get that stopped, unfortunately for him. So yeah, it's not good. Let's go back to the Herlock-Kirby battle. Beninka still got Day, Suvic and De Bruyne in behind him. And then further back from that, Carl Stroll and Ross Smith are literally still, well, they were battling out, but Ross is now 1.7 seconds. Bottom right corner is Beninka with his train in behind him. And this is Herlock and Kirby with a back marker in front of them. And unfortunately, that is a car number 29 there, who's also just been lapped. So that was Gilles Lalonde, I believe, has just been lapped as well. All these people getting lapped, does it bring their fuel strategy into a bit of a different realm, should we say, Tom?
You could say that. I mean, if you look at the timing of when they've lapped him, I mean, what lap are they on? 21, 22? They're going to get lapped at least twice in this race. So that will save them. It'll help them save fuel less when they're being lapped like that. And it could also help in the long run towards the end of the race. But if they unlap themselves in the leaders, then that could cause a bit of a problem as Ross Smith comes out of the pit lane after his repair job, after the whack against the barrier at Dunlop. Now he just needs to be wary that Herlock and Kirby are going to be coming through.
Yeah, well, he said that obviously he wouldn't stand in the way. So let's see what he does here. Obviously, this is George and Jerry. This is the 2 leaders of the race. You can see Ross on the right-hand side trying to remove himself from the equation, I'm sure. Either that or he's sitting there knowing that he'll drive me absolutely bonkers there. Further hairpin, you see Magnus Dahlgren is closed right up here. And Dan Herlock, I think at some point, is going to start spitting bubbles here, Tom, because they need Ross out of the way.
Well, they need him to get out of the way soon enough, but he'll be on fresher tyres, Will Smith, compared to the leaders. Now, he may be in a Pro-Am, but it doesn't mean he can't fight it out with the leaders at all. But the situation he's got the top 3 in the pros coming up to lap him, and the last thing he wants is getting in the way and being a factor in how this race effectively gets decided.
Effectively, Ross is last on the racetrack. He is, 34 seconds back from Dan Kruger. Is there any need for him to be there?
Well, probably not, but he'll lose time in chasing after Kruger for later on.
Exactly. But that little bit of time loss, he's going to end up losing. Especially if he... What's worse for a back marker now, right, is A, staying in front of the leaders. But if Ross makes a mistake and has any form of impact on taking out any of these leaders, his name's going to be mud. It will be blacker than black. It will be completely down the coal mine for Ross Smith. For me, I just personally think it's easier just to remove yourself, but we know that's not the rules in CMS. They don't have to completely move out of the way, but they don't have to obviously block the passing car as well. But, you know, I just think at the moment it's causing a problem, and Herlock is not going to be best impressed, I don't believe, with this whatsoever on that one. But let's hope Ross doesn't have an incident and take out any of the leaders. Eduardo Benico on the bottom right hand corner. He's still got his queue of Holiday, Timon Suvic and Vuelta de Bruin. They're still about 1.8 seconds apart in that bottom right hand corner at the moment, Tom.
But Ross Smith is still in front of the leaders. I think Dahlgren made a mistake at the last turn whilst we were watching that battle that's been headed up by Beninka. And I think Herlock should go through on Smith at turn one. No, I mean,
No,
Smith.
it's not going to.
No. I mean, to be fair to Smith, you know, he's trying to stay on the. Well, he's already a lap down on the leaders. He doesn't want to be 2 laps down if he lets by Herlock, Kirby, and Dahlgren. But
He's not pulling away. Like, do you know what I mean? He's not going anywhere.
It's not like he's horrendously slow compared to the leaders, though. That's my argument. And that's why he's trying to pull away, because he feels that Kirby and Herlock are going to be in a battle with themselves anyway. If they start battling, that's the opportunity for Ross Smith to pull away from these three.
Yeah, Bonika's just lost that place to Holiday in the bottom right hand corner, and it looks like Benika's just about to lose another one for Timon Suvic as well. Eduardo Beninka did not have a couple of good corners there. Suvic on the right hand side, Beninka holds the inside line, nothing doing at the moment. Still Smith in front of Herlock. Shut up, I'm just going to breathe. I'm not even going to say a single thing apart from Eduardo Beninka. If you ain't careful with his son, you're going to get mugged right off, and you will end up losing that place to Vuelta de Bruin and Timon Suvic at the same time. Tom, let me ask you a serious question. I want a serious answer. If you were down Herlock and Ross Smith has been in front of you, knowing that he's a lap down and he ain't getting out of the way, would you or would you not be spitting bubbles about now?
It's a difficult one to answer that.
No, I don't want that. I don't want sitting on the fence. I don't want splinters in your bum, Tom. Don't sound like a politician. Tell me, would it or would it not be doing your nutting by now?
It may do, but it's up to you to pick up the pace and actually catch up. And if you're within a certain distance of the car ahead, then yes, you would be entitled, you would feel aggrieved. But at the same time, Smith has come out on fresher tyres and he's expected to pull away. And whilst he may not be pulling away, he's not like he's going dreadfully slowly and holding the leaders up, because I don't honestly think he is holding them up as much as some people may believe. You could just see there's actually more than 2 car lengths that Ross Smith is able to pull out on these, and that's been the case for about 3 or 4 laps.
But is that not is that not dirty air? Is that not dirty air that's stopping Herlock getting near it? We talk about it all the time. It's the biggest factor in these cars. You know, is this not dirty air that's the reason why these guys can't get close to him? Because he's affecting them in every single corner. It's coming across him. Is he going to now get it? Look, because Kirby is now going to jump all over Herlock. If I was Herlock, I'd be spitting bubbles. I'm not going to lie. Especially if I lose this lead. And Kirby's going to block him in behind Smith. Smith is being a factor regardless. I don't think he's doing this any favours. And now there's going to be contact. And now, I tell you what, if Herlock don't come out of this absolutely red flag to a ball at the moment regarding this situation, I would be very surprised. And that for me is just, I don't understand this, especially now he's just lost the lead to Kirby over this situation, especially 4 times back.
Well, we've seen a brilliant battle, but what kept the lead for the Lancia was its superior straight line speed compared to the Porsche. And this is an unbelievable dice. This is perhaps the best dice we've seen all race, James. But of course, that's factored by the fact that Ross Smith is beginning to get in the way now, I think. And I think considering that he's had enough opportunities to pull away, I would say that now is perhaps the time to just get yourself out of that situation. Don't hold them up anymore.
Yeah, this would be driving me absolutely bonkers. Let us know in YouTube chat if this would literally be annoying you right now. And I know the rules in CMS, and I know I'm going to get DMs, and I know I'm probably going to be in the steward's room, and I know George is going to be on my back about it. But this is absolutely bonkers. I'm sorry. It's affecting the lead of the race. It's affecting what's going on behind. And if Herlock had lost that lead to Kirby right then, I would be red flag to a bull. For me, I don't understand this at all. I don't understand this situation. I just think that at the moment he is in dead last. He's 20 seconds away from Kruger. He's not fighting anybody or affecting anything. He's already won the C1 Pro Championship. It's not like that's even an important factor as well. And he isn't pulling away, and it's starting to affect what is going on that racetrack. I'm sorry, George, if you watch it back and you want to pull me in and we'll have a chat, I get it. But this is now 4 laps on, 5 laps where he's been there, and every single time it's still affecting what's going on the racetrack. I can't get it. I'm sorry at home, I'm sorry on YouTube, and I don't understand this ruling whatsoever. For me, this is just absolutely bonkers. But hey, listen, that's for me to deal with the stewards after this, I'm sure, as these guys continue to fight. We've now got Dahlgren closing in right on behind that as well. I wouldn't even be surprised if we're still there in about a few laps time, and 11 seconds down the road is Ollie Day. I'm sure he might be able to get in as well at this current moment, Tom. I think this is I think this is nuts.
Yeah, well, we can see the Lancia attacking, but it's not going to have the straight line speed compared to the Lancia on the straight, so I'd expect Herlot to remain in the lead. And Kirby knows the fact that it's not going to be turn 1 where he gets the pass done. It's going to be further on around the circuit as he attempted previously. And you can just see he's going to go for it again at turn 2 if he can help it. I think Smith has gone off the circuit this time, James, and that's him out of the way at last.
Yeah, I'm sure they missed his breaking point, I think, on that one. Herlock, Kirby and Dahlgren now fighting out for the lead of the race. 28 of 57 gone. We're confident leading the C1 Pro-Am. Smith's a lap down from the leader, 39 seconds away from Uyan in class. James, for the love of God, this is Sportscar. I get it. I understand it, dude. But he's been there for 5 laps, effective what's going on. He's a lap down from his own class. He's 40 seconds away from his class, a lap away from his class leader, 40 seconds away from second place. He's won the championship. His team's won the championship, team championship. What is he fighting for? Get your poorly made F1 stuff out of here. Get out. Not having any of it, to be honest. If everything was like F1, it'd be a hell of a lot easier as well. But that's just me on that one as I carry on my little rant. Lost Adrian Rice. Adrian Rice today was mainly about clearing the penalties. He had a load of them. And if he went 2 laps down early, he was calling it a day. He did go 2 laps down. I think at one point he was 3 or 4 laps down on that one. And he has gone. The interesting thing for me as well, keeping an eye on not only on this battle at the same time, look at the C1 AMs now of Angelidis and Jerry Chen. They've come down from about 4.5 seconds apart. They're now only 2.5 seconds apart. So Tom, Jerry Chen closing in on George Angelidis. That is massive in the Pro-Am Championship. Dan Herlock still and only just and hanging on by the skin of his teeth here over Dan Kirby and Magnus Dahlgren, still leading the C1 Pros.
As it has been from the start, and Dahlgren can just sense an opportunity between himself and Kirby and Herlock. And, well, it's a matter of time before Dahlgren makes his move, actually. Well, he could be going for it here on Kirby if he can apply the brakes at the right time. I don't think it's going to be close enough this time, though, as the Porsche, pulls away from Dahlgren, coming through Dot corner. But they're going to be coming up to another baton marker, I think. I'm just looking further on around the circuit according to the track map. Where are they going to hit next? Well, it's the man in 15th place. Yeah, Cherry Chen, who's not had the best of races so far in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Eddie's in YouTube chat as well. Get him gone, he says there. So, Eddie, you have a conversation with Virus about it as well. Love you, James, for who you are. Thanks, mate. Much appreciated. I will rant when I need to. On that, as these guys continue scrapping this out. Angelis Chen, 2.5 seconds, of course. We've said about the championship for the C1 Pro-Ams that they're not very far away from each other at this current moment as well. There is 7 points, and Angelidis is just about pulling back 5. He's going to get 20-15. Yeah, he's pulling back 5. That's going to leave him too short going into the championship. At the moment, Jerry Chen and Carl Struhel, they are fighting out in the team's championship currently as well. So we'll find out how these guys are going to get on in that team championship. We'll have to do some maths after, which is going to be, I believe it's 8 points. Struhel's going to score. Chen's, if he stays where he is, will get the 15. That is 23. That's going to give 174. Martini are on for 20. That's going to give 164. So that should still keep the C1M Team Championship up for grabs here as well, as we go for a replay of Mr. Woo de Bruin, who's had his own little dramas here as well. It looks like the run through 300R on that one, and a big old slide and a snap mount on. Again, easily done on this circuit.
I don't know whether he was trying to perform Tokyo Drift, considering we're at the land of the rising sun for Wouter de Bruin, but that's perhaps not the way to tackle the course in these machines.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't do it sideways unless you're auditioning for the new Fast and Furious, which I am not. Neither of these guys. Dan Kirby gets a little bit of a wibble on, going into turn number 1 now. Now it's a run out through Suntory Corner. This is on with Robert Molin and JT Tammy.
Just got by him, James.
Yeah, it's just gone through, and job done on that one, Tom.
Yeah, so that's Tammy through at last, recovering after his earlier shenanigans at the beginning of this one. But we are looking at the leaders who are fighting once again. Kirby's on the outside. Is he going to get the car slowed down? No, just too much brake pressure. And that's the thing with these cars. It goes back to us saying that if you apply so much, it is so easy to lock the rear axle. And the car just saying, you're having a laugh, mate. I am not going to tackle the corner as though you wish me to.
Oh, absolutely. I do agree on that one as well. But that brings into the braking of having to brake really early. I think that's the thing. You've got to start sort of. It's a wind down, isn't it? It's not a sudden stop. It's like a whoa. You can't just go and hope for the best. You know what I mean? It's got to be a sort of a continual wind down on the brake, because if you try and slam it, well, we've seen with some of these drivers going round and round. So let's see how some of these guys get on. JT Tammy, Robert Molin, 6th back at the moment. John Uyan, Jerry Chen. But we know Jerry Chen is the next car on the road for leaders. In fact, there's 15th, 14th and 13th, which is Chen, Uyan and Angelides just up, and Chen has managed to close back in on John Uyan. He's got to try and get up to Georgia, of course, here once again to keep this battle still going alive. Tom, we're coming up to, really, we're past the halfway point. We've got back markers, we've got people fighting for position. There's Jerry Chen there on your screen at the moment. I believe that is that Petrovsky tucked in behind him. I can't really quite see make out the number on that one. But Jerry, next one going to be lapped. He's got to err on the side of caution here, right? He knows he's in a battle for the championship. He knows the leaders are in behind him. For Jerry Chen's point of view, how's he going to work this one?
Well, I think Chen will move out of the way this time. I don't think he's going to be what Ross Smith was earlier and get in the way, considering that Smith is in a higher class. That's switch of oversteer, getting on the curve there. That was very, very close, and that's going to be easy picking for Dahlgren.
The thing they don't want to do here as well, look at Herlock. Is Herlock going to clear Chen? Chen just stays to the right-hand side. He doesn't even take his line. Lifts, allows Herlock to go through. The others did not make that for Jerry Chen was literally, I'm going to buy you a pint, son. Because literally, Jerry Chen has just released Herlock away from the group. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure Chen is not going to be a pain in the backside, but at the same time, there you go, Dahlgren's going to be through. Now where's Kirby going to be? How's Kirby going to manage this? 0.8 back at the moment. Kirby's going to go around the outside. See, and that gives a different meaning to how to handle backmarking. And I know, don't jump all over me, Virus, and anybody else, but that is how you handle it. He's lost barely any time. He lifted a little bit, let him run around the inside and outside of him. He's still in the race, and he's still closing into the guys in front of him.
Yeah,
job done.
By the time Angelides gets out of the way by the leaders, it's going to be even closer, I think, because if Chen can keep up and stay within the slipstream of the leaders, that could come to his aid a little bit later on. Although we see the leaders who have not come in for tyres yet, none of them have been. I don't expect to see tyre changes unless we see anyone attempting to go for a gamble. I think if you're one of the leaders, though, it's too much of a gamble because the gaps are too small.
Yeah, Herlock on the inside of Angelides there. Angelides again doing Herlock a massive favour. Through he goes. Dahlgren is there as well. Kirby's now stuck in behind a back marker, trying to pick these ones out. That's Herlock, that's Angelides, that's Dahlgren. Then there's Kirby, then there's another back marker in behind Kirby on the right hand side of the racetrack. Angelidis again, just allowing the guys through on the inside. Dahlgren's cleared him. Kirby's still stuck in beginning. This is the beginning gap, and that's the biggest gap of the race that these guys have been apart. Virus, don't sit on the fence, you absolute chicken. He said, I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I am in trouble. Dude, be more like me, free spirit. But you're right, the gap between Chen and Angelidis has now come down to 2.4 seconds. Is that both how you handle it? Oh, there's Ollie Day. Where are you going?
So he's going for a little bit of off-roading into the forest there.
Yeah, and he's lost a place to soothe it there, Tom, as well.
Well, it'll get his momentum back. There's no doubt about it from Ollie Day. He's had a good race so far. By the way, Herlock has been able to bridge out the margin now thanks to the back markers. Now, what's the next back marker that will be coming up to next? It is Alex Schultz, isn't it? Who is going to be...
No, Stroll down in 18th, I believe.
Okay, so Stroll isn't too far up the road from them, so he is going to be the next obstacle in the way of the leaders.
I'm sure he's not going to be an obstacle. Maybe. I don't know. See what happens.
Well, now that Kirby's lost the position to Dahlgren on the pit straight, what's his end game here now? Because there's not a lot of time left in the race. We're already into the second half of this one. It's flown by incredibly. But it's like he's not got a lot of choice here as Kirby if he wants to win this.
No. He's got to decide now where he's at with fuel. I think that's the biggest thing. Where are they at with fuel? Does Kirby have enough to push for a couple of laps? Does he not have enough to push for a couple of laps? Does Dahlgren have more? Because don't forget, Dahlgren sat in third place for longer than... Well, saying that, Kirby did sit in second place for quite a while as well. So where does that leave them in terms of fighting? Is that going to give the power to Kirby to fight Dahlgren and Herlock later on? Don't forget, Herlock's been leading. He's been the fuel man. He's been the air puller. He's separated the air like Jesus separated the ocean. You know, this is the thing. Herlock's been that guy. He's been in the front. He has run the fuel the most. Dahlgren and Kirby have a 1 point saved fuel with Kirby sitting in behind Herlock, Dahlgren sitting in behind him. So are we going to presume that these two have got enough to go at him? Because last time around, they're all Kirby 120. That was literally 6 tenths quicker than Magnus Dahlgren on the last lap. And that was a 121.2 for Dan Herlock. So that's half a second quicker as well. So Kirby at the moment into their 120s is still going faster than the guys behind, even if he is touching fuel saving at this point.
Well, Kirby needs to think about when he's going to pass Dahlgren. If he's going to pass him, he either needs to be over at the hairpin, which they're coming up to now, which is too far away to do, or go for it perhaps at Dunlop, because it's not going to get him on the pit straight, because he's not going to have the straight line speed that is paramount on this course. So he's got to think smart here. He may even need to catch Dahlgren by surprise and go through.
Yeah, there's Carl Stroll. We did say he's next. After Carl Stroll is going to be 12th position of Alexander Schultz, but he's a little bit further up. No, 17th place it would be actually. Gilles Lalonde next on the racetrack for these guys to carry on. Angelidis Chen. Angelidis is... It's really hard to gauge that one at the moment as well, because that's been teetering on 2.5 to 3 seconds. Unless Jerry Chen has just caused himself a mass drama, which I think he may have done, because he has just lost near enough 2 seconds on the racetrack. Stroll all the way to the right, doesn't get involved, it pulls out the way. Job done for Carl Stroll as he allows Herlock, Dahlgren and Kirby to continue their fight on. Herlock surely's got to be having less fuel remaining than all of these cars, right? He's been at the front of this field for ages.
He has been, but every time he's had a big gap, it's come down by the fact that he's been fuel saving, James. He knows that there have been times where he's been battling with Dan Kirby, which he's had to sacrifice some fuel in doing so, but now he's having to go back into the phase of fuel saving, which can only encourage Dahlgren and Kirby. Civic is still too far back, albeit 12 seconds behind, looking good for a good points finish, but I think if there's one man who'll be disappointed with his race so far, it's Eduardo Beninca, because he was running towards the end of the where Herlock and Kirby were, because he was on the tail of those two, and now he's fallen back down into 6th place and not looking like to even get on the podium.
But he did cop a very harsh penalty. He did cop a very harsh penalty as we go into 20 laps to go here. This race is going by thick and fast, 1 minute 20s on the clock. So it's on the pit straight again. We go with Dan Kirby, Dan Herlock, and Magnus Dahlgren. Let's give you a quick run through or give you a James Maths update on the championship. Don't quote me because this could be very, very wrong. At the moment, Herlock out in front will wrap up the championship this week. I cannot see Benica doing it from here. I don't think he's got the pace to keep up. I think Dan Herlock's going to wrap this up in that pros. You can see it there on the screen. Pro-Ams, Angelidis with Jerry Chen. That's still up for grabs, of course. We're on the Pro-Ams. Tony McCaughlin, John Uyan, Ross Smith. We know Smith's already wrapped the championship up as well. Job done, but McCaughlin leading, so fair play to him. Angelidis, Jerry Chen, that's the battle. Then we've got Maximilian Petrovsky, who's going to overturn Peter Meyer. Angelidis, if he wins this one where he is, he'll go in with a 2-point lead. Team standings, they should have 166. Should be about 7 to 8 points difference between Breaking Bad and Martini, if I've got the maths right. Again, I'm doing multiple things at the same time. Please do not quote me on maths. I think that could be wrong, but I think it's going to be very, very close. I think, to be honest with you, Tom, I think the C1 Pro-Am, the C1 AMs could be the only championship up for grabs coming into Sandown.
It feels that way. And Jerry Chen is still keeping Angelidis honest. He's 5 seconds off him, considering that they've had to get out of the way by the leaders. And they've had the likes of Suvic, Day, Beninka, and De Bruyne's dropped back from those since he was on the tail of him.
Oh, there he is. No, I did wonder. They were literally on top of Gilles Lalonde. I did wonder where he went. And Gilles gone off the side of the circuit. Next on the racetrack is 12th place Alexander Schultz for them as well. But yeah, Gilles was there. I don't know if that was a move out the way. I don't really know what that was. But Tony McCaughlin doing a great job in the Pro-Ams. Ross did say in the interview, wonder if he's going to finally get the race battle with Tony McCaughlin. The answer to that is the computer said no. Ross unfortunately had a bit of a rough one. And McCaughlin, actually Ross ended up in a barrier, if I remember correctly, and McCaughlin has just pulled away, so that battle was done and dusted. Angelidis, Chen is 4 seconds behind. Between Angelidis is John Uyan, who is there in the background at the same time. That is somebody in the faster class going past Angelidis. There is John Uyan in that Jaguar in behind him as well, and then Jerry Chen is in behind that. Up front, Dahlgren, Herlock, Kirby. Same 3 people we've seen on the racetrack, Tom, all the way through this one. Fascinating battle to see what pros, but I am very interested to see how fuel plays a part.
Yeah. Well, at least Ross Smith has managed to get himself back on the lead. Well, I say him on the lead lap as John Uyan in the battle for second place, although he's a long way back. It's not to catch up to Uyan unless Uyan makes a mistake, but at least he doesn't have that +1 lap next to his name on the graphic. But you can see the top 3. I think it feels similar to bridging out a little bit, but now that Herlock's able to bridge out that gap over Dahlgren, that's another opportunity for him to save some fuel, because Suvic, who's running in 4th place, is not gaining on him. He's 15 seconds off, and when we feel... Oh, that's Kirby going round.
Kirby's going round. Oh, right across the camera. Dan Kirby's just got that all wrong. He will hang on to 3rd, though, because as we were saying, Suvic is too far back there. But unfortunately for Dan Kirby, that was a mistake, and he has gone around for Dan Kirby in that Porsche 956. Bad timing for Kirby towards this late in the race. He's lost 5 seconds to Dahlgren, 6.5 to the leader. Is he going to be able to get that back?
I think he will, but we're going to see a replay of how... I think we're looking at... Well, there we go. Now we're looking at how he's managed to lose at the hairpin. And you could just see there was sort of slight switch there from Dahlgren. I don't know whether that put Kirby off a little bit. But either way, I'm not sure who would want to be the cameraman there, even though it is a virtual camera position that's been used within this game cycle. By the way, that leaves Kirby with more work to do than he had hoped for. And that could now leave a 2-way fight for the win, although Herlock does have that commanding margin over Magnus Dahlgren in the final 17 laps of this here in Fuji.
We're going to find out how this one is all going to pan out. But Dan Kirby in that 3rd place, battling away. So let's keep an eye on that and see what goes on for Dan Kirby. Is he going to be able to get this time back? Dahlgren now 1.1 seconds behind Herlock. Herlock seems to be opening up this one, Tom. and pulling away. It looks like his little legs is scarpering. Angelidis Chen, look at that for a time gap, 1.5 seconds. Jerry Chen fuel saving. Now he's going to go after Angelidis. Yeah, he's got to get past John Uyan first, but he is very, very close indeed here.
He's 1.5 seconds off Angelidis. Is Jerry Chen in their class battle, which is expected to go down to the wire with the way things are going here. But looking at the front, Dahlgren is still keeping Herlock honest, but when you look at the straight line speed of which that Lancia has compared to the Porsche 956, Herlock is able to just keep hold of it. That's what's keeping him at the head of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Dahlgren now is going to be... He's got to try and stay with Herlock, but whether or not he's got the fuel and the pace. My fear for Angelidis over Jerry Chen is Chen's carrying more fuel. And I think Chen's going to be able to close in. He's pulled out 3 seconds. Look at the gap. It's coming down like an absolute banshee. Maybe we should get them on the bottom screen or something and have a look what's going on there, because they're literally, I think they're nose to tail pretty much. 2 seconds. It's teetering in and out at the moment as well. And we wonder if George may have a problem. Benica and De Bruin. I'm wondering if that's Eduardo Benica, maybe, because there's big drops from him. Yeah, it is. There's Eduardo Benica there. There's George Angelidis. Bang. Oh. Ooh. That is a leader lapping a back marker.
Does this measure up to what you were saying earlier when Ross Smith was getting in the way of the...
I'm not even going to lead anything, because George did a great job when the leaders come through. Unfortunately, George did a great job when the leaders come through the first time, and unfortunately, it did look like they just got that one all wrong. So however the dance was supposed to go, I think they both ended up with 2 left feet. Let's put it that way. Because they didn't quite dance their way round the corner on that one. Yeah, they come into problems. Chen, yeah, Herlock. I think this is Tom. I think Tom, to be honest, this is Herlock's moment. I think he's going to.
That's Benica.
He's going to DNF right about now. That's a problem. Straight back to pit lane. DNF for Eduardo Benica. He is going to be fuming. There is going to be something kicking in here very, very shortly from Eduardo Benica. I will keep an eye on the chat, because I've got a funny feeling something may be coming. So there we go. What do we reckon now? How's this one going to work out with Angelidis and Chen? Are they going to come up and, have some issues?
We'll see. I mean, they've been lapped by most of the leaders now, and I don't expect them to be lapped again by them before this race is over. It feels like a straight fight between Angelidis and Chen in the AM class, but there is actually still a car in between Angelidis and Chen, actually, thinking of it. Yeah, it's John Uyan who's in the way, and he's in a different class to those two. So there is the buffer of which Angelidis has over Chen as they exit Dunlop, but there's not long left in this race now for Chen to make his move here.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether or not, obviously, the Jaguar, we did say some of the Pro-Ams, we heard Ross say that as well, that some of the Pro-Ams were, almost as quick as the AMs in the cars, and Uyan and McCaughlin are certainly showing how McCaughlin's mixing it up with the pros at the moment. So, the Pro-Am's mixing it in here as Jerry Chen looks on the right-hand side. He's hoping that Jaguar may remove. Nope. Unfortunately for him, for John Uyan, he's still going to have Jerry Chen tucked in behind him. It's under teetering on that second mark. It's been in and out that second mark. I do wonder if Jerry Chen clears John Uyan or John Uyan clears George Angelidis, how that one's going to go. I think that's going to be an interesting one. So, yeah, let's keep an eye on this situation here as well, because obviously this is inter-class battles, Tom. This isn't just one class.
And there is Chen, who should be able to get through on Uyan here before they get to Dunlop. But it feels to me like he hasn't got the straight line speed either. Is he running a Porsche 956 like a lot of the others? Yeah, well that explains it, James. He doesn't have the straight line speed compared to Uyan, who is running in that Jaguar. Yeah,
the XJ220, of course, for XJR6, I should say, for John Uyan. Jerry Chen in the Porsche. and George Angelidis in the Lancia. So we know the faster one is the Lancia. The Porsche is unfortunately at the back, which at the moment is even the same as modern day sports cars, where the Porsche just has not got the pace on that one. So we've lost the Paninka, we've lost Rice, we've lost Pope on that. So yeah, unfortunately 3 DNFs already. Herlock out in front on the bottom right corner by a second, but this is the C1 battle. This is where we need to keep an eye out as well. Going back to the beginning of the conversation we had with Ross, if these two come up behind him, he said he wouldn't stand in their way, he would move out the way, ironically. He would, yeah, he said he would facilitate the pass and keep to one side. You know, pick if you really want to split hairs, Tom, pick apart what that sentence can mean on that one. You know, does John Uyan kind of have the same mindset, knowing that he's got the leaders of the classes in behind him?
I don't know whether John Uyan even listened to the conversation to begin with. He had just been focused on his own business, really. But now it feels like he is beginning to hold up Jerry Chen a little bit, because Chen has been stuck behind him for a period of time. But remember the fact that Uyan is in the Pro-Am class, whereas Angelis and Chen are in the Am class. So by theory, Uyan should be going quicker than those two.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand that as well. Is Ross Smith in pit lane, or has he been in pit lane? There as well. Maybe give the old software a little bit of a kick and give it a refresh on the right hand side, because at the moment it does say Ross Smith's been in the pits for about a minute and a half. There we go. He's not been in the pits at all. Herlock Dahlgren 7 terms, 8 terms, teetering around. Kirby tucked in behind. Are we witnessing? My fear is at the moment here. Are we? There's been some drama up front. Dahlgren just flicked out to 2 seconds. I'm not quite sure what went on. He's back under. I don't know what that was. That was very bizarre. Went out to about 2.5 seconds and come back down to 3 turns very quickly. Are we seeing a fuel race? Tom, is that why we're not getting the battling we're expecting?
Yeah, I would say so. But now we're into the business end of the race, where they can afford to push a little. And now you can see Herlock beginning to go defensive here, with Dahlgren chasing behind. And Kirby's got back into the mix as well, James, after that earlier mistake.
Oh, Herlock's wide. Dahlgren's going to take the lead. Dahlgren snapped. Oh, snap, slide, wiggles. That's going to put Herlock alongside him again. Now we're on the run. Into the kink, into Suntory now, on the run down into 100R. Down Herlock, tucked in behind Magnus Dahlgren. Both cars looking low. So we have got a Porsche 956 out in front of the race. It was not expected. They have not got the pace over that Dan Herlock Lancia. Is this Dahlgren's opportunity here, Tom, or is this going to be a flash in the pan for the Porsche leading the race?
Well, now that Dahlgren's in the lead, it's going to be a different race, because there's that straight line speed, of which Herlock has the straight line speed in his Lancia, and it's all come down to the fact he'd gone off the circuit. Mm-hmm. Now, if Beninka got that penalty earlier, then surely you would think Herlock would get a penalty for that.
Well, as we were screamed at earlier as well, it's all about speed, isn't it? How fast Beninka was going compared to how fast Herlock's just gone. For me, I know, I heard it, Tom. I heard the sigh in the background. I understand that, and I get it. Time lapse remaining here, it is frustrating, but by all accounts, it does come down to who's got the most amount of speed, carrying the speed, and that's why the penalties are different.
Well, at least we've got a three-way battle for the win now, with Dahlgren at the head of this. But now Herlock is having to fend off Kirby in the fight for second place, but we know that Kirby can catch a driver by surprise in the slower corners in his machine. But it's going to be a true test here for Dahlgren here, who is going to have to fend for his life on the straights. I think we've had some battling going on further down between Angelidis and Chen in the battle for the AM win. There is Jerry Chen.
Snap on the left, sorry. Dahlgren's just snapped that car. That is going to allow Herlock back out in the lead. Angelidis Chen, the reason that come up is because Chen has passed John Uyan. Chen passed John Uyan, and now Chen is free to go after Angelidis. This is massive in the championship. George needs to hang on to this like a prize fighter trying to keep his career alive, because if he doesn't, this could, and I'm just going to, where am I, 21.51, 15, that's going to be 139. That's 151 to 139 if Jerry Chen takes the lead over George Angelidis. That will be it going into the last one. That will give Angelidis a massive task going into Sandown. Try and wrap this one up as well. And Herlock on the left-hand side has just lost it again, and now he's behind both Porsches this time. I don't know what's going on now, Tom. This is all getting a little bit frantic on both sides of the screen.
Are Herlock's brakes beginning to fade away, James? That would be my concern now, considering how far into this we are. It's a very hard circuit on brakes as this, and you can see Dahlgren getting a little twitch coming through the hairpin. And that's how hard they're pushing here to try and gain all the time that they can get. But Dahlgren is back into the lead again. Kirby now ahead of Herlock for the first time in this race.
Ever, yep. Literally first time. Never ever been there before. Yeah, on the right hand side there as well. We've got De Bruin. He is mixing it up with the C1 AMS. And Angelidis and Chen on the right-hand side there as well. Lead race on the left. Herlock in behind, but we know the Lancia's got more pace than the Porsche. If this is where the Lancia's going to make it up though, Tom, isn't it? On the straights, he's got more pace. Surely he should be able to close it in.
Well, with the superior straight line advantage, he should be able to close back in, but he cannot afford any more mistakes now. And Dan Herlock. Dan Kirby, well, he feels a win is in the offing for him here. He is in the same machine as Dahlgren effectively. This is going to be a straight fight to see who has got what it takes. There is another back market they are approaching, are the leaders. They are approaching, who are they approaching next?
Schultz.
Yeah, it's Schultz, who's not been lapped yet in this race, believe it or not. So he's done very well to go this far without being lapped as Alex Schultz. And we are looking further down the order. It looks like Cherry Chen?
Yeah, Cherry Chen. They're on both sides of the screen at the moment. We've got Wouter de Bruin. Wouter de Bruin has just cleared Angelidis. That's going to bring Chen back in behind Angelidis. That should allow him to race, but it depends on what Jerry is sitting at in the fuel and whether or not he's going to have enough to go at Angelidis here as well. He's obviously been putting the gap down. We know that as time goes on throughout the race. It was about 4.2 seconds. It's now basically nothing. It's a nose hair between them at the moment on that one. Herlock now on the straight with that Lancia on the left hand side of the screen. Dahlgren there as well. Lap 50. We've only got 7 to go here, Tom. Can Herlock wrap the championship up here? But he's surely got to take the win. And what's going to happen down on the right hand side?
We'll see soon enough. There is Jerry Chen. That's JT Tammy right behind Jerry Chen in the approach to Dunlop. Now Tammy's coming to lap Chen in the pecking order. You can just see as he gets on the inside curb, and they're not nice, these curbs around Fuji. They really are not.
No, definitely not. They're not. They don't want to be. They literally do not want to be on them if they can help it there. I won't tell you what's just gone into my ear, but yeah, let's just put it this way. Jerry Chen is going to go at Angelidis again. Is this going to be a battle for the lead on the right, on the main screen now as well? Chen's looking up the inside. Angelidis, is he going to hold it round? He isn't going to hold it round! George Angelidis, spin, spin, spin! There he is on the inside. He's sat there like a loner in a school playground with no friends to play with. And unfortunately for George Angelidis, he is down in 15th. John Huyan has gone through. Petrovsky's gone through. Jerry Chen is going to be about 15 points ahead going into the final round of the season if he just carries this on. Big mistake from George there. He just got strung out, lost it on the outside, and was left there holding his bucket and spade all on his own.
It was a bad error from Angelidis. So from the moment Chen got alongside, Angelidis just hesitated on the brakes because he knew that he was up against it, and around it went for George. I'm going to see a replay of
this is George's spin.
Yeah, this is the spin again. And watch Chen just go up the inside. From the moment Chen got alongside, Angelidis was offline and he was not really going to fight it. He was fighting with his own car at that point.
Yeah, he was. You could see the back end wiggling and the braking. George had missed that braking point. He was wiggling the hell out of that car, trying to get it stopped. It would not stop conveniently enough for him. And unfortunately, Dahlgren! Woof! Blimey there, son. And that car sideways, Magnus Dahlgren. Dan Kirby tucked in behind him. And then obviously Danny Hurlock there as well. Going on to lap 53. We have not got many left whatsoever as we look on the nose from Dan Hurlock. That is literally split the battles up. Now Chen, Petrovsky, Angelidis, that's where they are. Free, Coughlin leading the Pro-Ams. Uyan Smith in behind that. Dahlgren, Kirby, Hurlock. This is the only battle we've got on the racetrack, Tom, that's going to need to really be significant enough here. Hurlock needs this win to wrap up the championship. Is he going to get it as we go into lap 53?
Well, not if he's twitching through turn 1 like that, but you can see the leaders are coming up behind Alex Schull now to lap. Through goes Dahlgren, through goes Kirby. Does Hurlock go through as well? Yes, he does. Further down the order, James, in the AM class, Petrovsky, who served that penalty earlier at the beginning, is now 2 seconds off Jerry Chen.
Do we think he's going to be able to get close enough, though? He's not really been up there all race.
If he's been unleashing his pace all the way through, I can't see why he can't.
He had a stop and over 10 seconds in pit lane at the beginning. Plus to run in pit lane as well, and it is quite a long pit lane. So, he didn't just lose 10 seconds. He lost all the time in the pits at the same time. But I do wonder whether or not Petrovsky can hold on there. 1.4 second, 1.5. Oh, big old twitch. That's going to affect him on the outside. Leaders on the right-hand side, that is Maximilian Petrovsky. There's Jerry Chen. There is George Angelidis. George now has got John Uyan. And we know how much Uyan can stay in front of these drivers because he did the same with Jerry Chen.
Kirby going through on Dahlgren at turn 1, James.
Yeah, down into turn 1. Kirby on the right-hand side, Dahlgren there as well. This is what Hurlock needs. Dahlgren's going to try and hang it around the outside line as well. Kirby comes over, takes the line away. Dahlgren twitching all over the place there. Twitching as much as Paul Glover wearing high heels on a Friday night. He's all over the place. He's trying to get that car going forward, trying to stay in front of Dan Hurlock. Dahlgren is trying as much as possible to stay with Kirby, to stay in front of Hurlock there as well. But Dahlgren, Kirby again! Kirby again! Oh!
Lucky man.
But he's on the lights. This is where this rule is developing. Kirby's even on the lights saying, please get out of the way. But we know they don't have to. And now he's in the lead battle. Whoever that is, who is that?
Is it Uyan?
No, it's not. Uyan's on the bottom right. I don't know who that. Yeah, Kruger. There as well. So this is where it all goes out the window because even the drivers are on the lights flashing. Now Kirby's got an escape 1.9 seconds up the road, all because of the back marker just affected the old race by being in the way going into Dunlop. Wonderful.
We've got 3 laps to go here. Kirby now leads the race. He's got a cushion here, so he may decide to just back off a little bit to save a little bit of fuel if he's tight on that. And now he's got Dahlgren and Hurlock. He'll be closing them in again. This is going to be a photo finish to the flag. And there we look at Petrovsky on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, chasing after Cherry Chen. He is keeping in touch with him. I would probably say Petrovsky, on the last lap, may send it.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Where from? Where? I'm sorry, not where from. Not where from, because we don't know where he's coming from. Where? Where to on the? Sorry, Tom. Where to on the racetrack? Do you reckon?
I think he's got to put him off at turn 1. I think he's got to do essentially what Cherry Chen did to George Angelidis. He's got to catch him by surprise if he's going to do it.
Well, let's see what goes on there as well, as I've just kind of predicted. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, let's see what goes on. Lead battle on the right and on the left-hand side. C1 hand battle, Jerry Chen and Maximilian Petrovsky. This is not good for Angelidis, and I say this in the relative terms of points at the moment, because Angelidis, if he finishes on third, he's only going to score 12 points. 12 points to Jerry Chen's 20. So Chen will go on 131. Angelidis will barely get to 136. Maximilian Petrovsky is DNF'd. I'm going to presume that is a connection issue. He has just got and sparked straight back to pit lane. That is unlucky. That is guttering for him. He had a chance to jump Peter Meyer in the standards as well here. And unfortunately, it does look like it's all done and dusted. That is a hardship for Maximilian Petrovsky, Tom.
I'm gutted with that. That we were robbed of a brilliant finish to the fight there between Jerry Chen and Maximilian Petrovsky. But now we'll stay focused on the outright race win battle. And it feels to me like Dan Kirby's on his way to victory ahead of Magnus Dahlgren, and Dan Herlock is doing his best to keep in touch. But I'm interested to know who's actually saved more fuel than others. And if Herlock's managed to save enough fuel behind, he'll be able to attack more, but he's going to run out of opportunities to get by both Dahlgren and Kirby, I think.
He's got one more lap. One more in a little bit. This is Dan Herlock's moment. They say, do you only want one shot? You're ever going to capture it? Well, this is it for Herlock. He was going to wrap up this championship. He would have wrapped this up now. I don't know if that's still going to be the case in the C1 Pros. That's Benica. Where is Benica? Benica's out.
Yeah, he was out earlier, James.
Yeah, he DNF'd, didn't he? He DNF'd, so that should give Herlock the championship, because he will score 12 points. 128 on 12, that's 140. Benica ain't going to get there anyway. So Herlock will wrap up the championship going into Sandown next week. So there's another championship that's wrapped up. It's only going to be the C1 AMS. George has been round again. Now Chen out in front by 10 seconds. Jerry Chen, congratulations. Wrap it up, son. You've done a great job in the Pro AMS here as well. George is going to be on for 15 points. He will go on to 139. Jerry Chen will be on 151. It is looking like Chen will wrap it up at Sandown next week as well. Team stand-ons is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I was going to say Herlock had an absolute nightmare of a final lap, James, in his push to catch Kirby and Dahlgren. But I think with the lead that Kirby has now, he can just sail on to the checker flag from here.
Yeah, Kirby out in front by 2.1 seconds. It is literally the final run for Dan Herlock. He's through the hairpin. He's coming into Dan Kirby. Sorry, he's coming into 300. It's going to be a break. Roll through Dunlop. Job done for him here. Dan Kirby wraps it up. He's going to come over the line. Is he? Thank you very much. There he is. Winner, chicken dinner for Dan Kirby. Dahlgren gets a fantastic second. Herlock's going to wrap up the championship in third. McCoffin's going to come along in the Pro-Ams. There's Jerry Chen. He's going to take the C1 AM victory as well. I'm going to be interested to interview Jerry, seeing how he feels about probably wrapping up that championship here as well. But Tony McCoffin, a great run in the lead of the C1 Pro-Ams for Tony. Good job for him. Chen on the bottom right corner, McCoffin on the left. Both the leaders here. Jerry Chen coming into Dunlop, and McCoffin on the run down to Dunlop, I believe, as well. So there he is. So they're not too far away, but Jerry Chen will come over the line first, ahead of Tony McCoffin. Jerry Chen, this should put Chen about 12 points ahead of George Angelidis going into Sandown on the 3rd of December. Jerry wraps it up. He takes a win here. He's going to go over the line. Please don't run out of fuel, Jerry. Please tell me you've got enough to make this run. And he does, and wraps it up there as well. Great run from Jerry Chen. Now Tony McCoffin. Let's see him come over and grab his moment. And over the line goes Tony as well. Great job from Tony McCoffin. Didn't really end up in that fight that he wanted with Ross Smith. But then again, Ross hit a power here and caused him to bring his own problems.
Well, we were treated to an interesting race there, weren't we, with the the battles going on throughout the classes there. But of course, with the refueling rule in place, I think it turned out to be a different race from maybe what we expected. But now that everyone is over the line, I'll let you run down on the official results.
Yeah, let's see here as well. Let's have a look at the results. Dan Kirby is your winner. That's the first time he led for the race, by the way. Magnus Dahlgren second. Dan Herlock's going to kick himself. He led for pretty much 3/4 of that race. Just could not wrap up the last one. Timon Suvic is in. Why is there 1, 2, 3, 3? No idea. Timon Suvic in 4th. Ollie Day in 5th. JT Tammy down there in 6th with Wood de Bruin, Robert Molin, Alexander Smeraldi, and Alexander Schultz. That's the top 10 of the C1 Pros. Behind that is the Pro-Ams. Tony McCoffin takes a win, which we saw. John Uyan in 2nd and Ross Smith in 3rd place. Is that going to have any inclination on that championship? McCoffin and Uyan, yes, maybe. Jerry Chen takes the win. That's going to put him about 12 points ahead in that one. George Angelidis has got a lot to do at Sandown and hope that Jerry doesn't turn up. Daryl Kruger in third, Carl Stroll fourth, Gilles fifth, Maximilian Petrovsky in sixth there as well. So great job from all of those guys. I'd like to point out, McCoffin taking that win is going to give him 94, 95. Uyan in behind him is, he's got a little bit of more work to do going into Sandown as well. No problem, Kim. Much appreciated for joining us for this period of time there as well. Let's start having a chat with some of them at this moment in time. We can bring your C1 Pro-Am winner, Mr. Tony McCoffin, into the booth with us. Tony, that cements your second place in the championship there, buddy. Well done on taking the victory.
Hello, and thank you. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. So far, every race I've finished in that class, I won. Sadly, I had to miss a couple races and had a fortunate event in some others. So Ross took the championship, and big congratulations to him for that. Still a bit sad that we didn't get to really fight that championship on track, which is a bit of a shame, but the cars were amazing to drive, and then the track was amazing to drive as well. So really glad with that.
Yeah, how tough was it out there on the track?
So it was actually all right for me. The tire wear was quite bad, and then luckily I had a setup that was already very safe, so didn't take any risk with that. So that's why my pace was dropping a bit toward the end, and then a lot of the pro just sailed by me. But in the end, yeah, what matters was getting to the end of the race cleanly, which I did. So it was actually good for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you did that one. Well done for you, fella, as well. Anyone you want to shout out as you head into Sandown in second place in the C1 Pro-Ams?
Yeah, I would shout out to Russ for winning that championship. Amazing drive from him and the championship. So shout out to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done there, Tony. Great job there, buddy. I look forward to seeing you at Sandown.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you. Bye.
But, oh, sorry, Tony. Didn't mean to. Right, let's bring Mr. Jerry Chen into the booth with us. He takes the victory in the C1 AMS. That should, if I've done maths correctly, and please don't quote me, give him about a 12-point lead going into Sandown. That should also allow Brake Pad Racing to be about the same points ahead in the team standings as well. He is your winner for the C1 AMS, Mr. Jerry Chen. Jerry, welcome in, bud.
Hey guys, oh, that was intense.
Dude, it looked intense. I wasn't even out there.
Yeah, I had to trim out the wing on the Porsche just to keep up with George's top speed on the straight. So I had no downforce in the corners, and it was just hanging on by your fingernails in every one of those corners.
Like modern day sports car today, Jerry, the Porsche ain't got the pace.
It's great in brakes and the cornering, but it's got no straight line speed. So yeah, like those twisty bits in sector 2 and 3, every braking zone, it was just right on the limit of crashing every single lap.
Did you sit there and think, oh, why did I pick it? Because you must look at Fuji and go, yeah, need speed. How am I going to do this?
Well, I'm a Porsche guy, so I'm always going to drive the Porsche regardless.
I understand that, Jerry, but it's like a turtle going along the straight, isn't it? Let's be real about it. Fuji, you need that top end.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys caught him, but John Ewan, who was between me and George, he wanted to let me by, but I could not even get close enough for him to let me by on the straight. In the Jag would just pull away.
Yeah, but you did it, dude. You did it. You've taken it. You've given yourself and the team standings a nice little buffer going into Sandown as well. That's not a bad place to be, is it?
No, yeah, I've never driven Sandown in any cars in sim racing, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, the little points gap to George now is a little more comfortable. But it was kind of sad that Max disconnected at the end there, because I was very, very tight on fuel, even with being one lap down to Kirby. Max was gonna get me easy. So when he disconnected my rearview mirror, it was like, oh, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, that was a little bit guttering. It's going to be on the 6th of December that we're going to go into Sandown, bud, as well. But well done on taking that win. Well done on giving yourself a bit of a buffer. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, Carl, my teammate, for helping me with the team points. He's been really consistent all year. And everybody at CMS, this season has been awesome fun. So, and thanks you guys for the broadcast.
No problem at all there, buddy. Eva as well. Much love. Jerry, take care. See you in a few weeks, buddy.
Yep, bye.
Right, let's bring in your pro winner, Mr. I don't know why. I'm surprised that he's won, to be honest. Mr. Pro winner, Dan Kirby. Tough race. Never led at all until it mattered over the line. Mr. Dan Kirby there as well. Dan, welcome in, bud.
Yeah, no kidding. I was staring at the back of the car the whole freaking race.
Literally just staring at the back of poor old of Eva, bringing Dan Herlock there as well, or Magnus Dahlgren, one of them, Dan. Listen, I want to ask you a question. Now, you come into this race, you know, you're not really in the championship, are you? And you know, at the end of the day, that's the situation. How do you approach the race, Dan? When you're not in that championship fight, you're there with the leaders. Do you sit back and think, oh, should I be really getting involved in this? Or think, Nickers will go for the win?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking I'm the one who has nothing to lose, so I'm going to try and race hard, but obviously clean. And I was kind of surprised Herlock was defending so hard too, but I mean, he probably just wants to have a really good race with us too. So we weren't going to like take huge risks and take each other out or something. So it was super close. I think we bumped a couple times, but I think both of us, all of us, had a really good fun time just laying it all out there.
All right, listen, I'm going to ask you a controversial question. All right, so prepare yourself for this. Was it frustrating, the fact that there was a back marker that did not remove themselves for about 5 laps?
Not for me.
No, you nearly ended up taking the lead because of that said back marker.
Yeah, I think because we're all like on worn tires and just kind of sticking to our fuel numbers and stuff, our pace was I think it was Ross who was in front of us.
It was.
Our pace was actually just like solid. He was quick. So I don't think he was really holding us up too much. But Herlock might have something different to think about that.
Yeah, I think if I spoke to Dan Herlock, mate, there's a different kettle of red coming out of his mouth than what's just come out of yours. I can tell you that much. I don't know. Listen, I'm going to leave that one up to them lot to sort out as well before I end up getting killed by George once more on that. Dan, are you going to be at Sandown, buddy, in a couple of weeks?
I'm not sure. I don't even know what the date is.
6th of December, bud.
Maybe. We'll see. Sometimes I work Saturdays, but we're closed the rest of the Saturdays for the year, so maybe I'll be able to make that one too.
Oh, man. Well, Dan, listen, congratulations on the win there, buddy, and well done. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
It's just the usual, everyone, and Herlock and Dahlgren for that awesome race. That was insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Really was. Well done, Dan. Congratulations, buddy. We'll hopefully see you at Sandown.
Alrighty, thank you guys.
Well, there you go, Tom. 3 happy people. Dan Herlock seems to have a smile on his. Dan Kirby seems to have a smile on his face, regardless. Don't forget, join us in. Oh, blimey, what's that? 6 weeks? 5 weeks time? 5 weeks time as we head to Sandown. Final words from you, Mr. Tom Cairns.
We've been treated through an intriguing race that's been decided on fuel saving. Dan Kirby led when it mattered most and came out on top. And congratulations to Cherry Chen and Dan Herlock on wrapping up their respective class titles. Absolutely.
Agreed on that one. I think Jerry Chen's got a battle on his hands going into Sandown, but he has pretty much wrapped it up. Well, thank you to everybody that's joined us in YouTube chat as well. Kim, Virus, and Eddie. Eddie, I love Eddie's sentence. Get him gone. I'm going to presume that was referring to Ross Smith, whether or not that was as well. Right, guys, join us on the 6th of December, when not only does this championship come to an end, we also find out where we're going next season as well. So big announcements. Tune in for that one. I'll be JP. I'm alongside Tom Cairns. And as always, I've had Mr. Paul Glover in my ear. And as, well, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.